Hello Twitter, hello Periscope. Welcome to the virtual book fair for May on Twitter Live. I'm Rachel Churcher. I'm the author of the Battleground series. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to say a quick thank you to A.M. Gilliam. I hope I'm saying that right. For the previous reading and the handover. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to Mary at Our Own Right for organising this fantastic book fair. Indie authors rely on going to book fairs and events to meet you, our audience, and so this is a wonderful opportunity for us to share our work with you and for you to talk to us. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to tell you about my books. If you joined the virtual book fair in April, you will have heard me read from the first two books in my series. The first, if I hold it, first was Battleground and the second was False Flag. It's a 5-book series, but today I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to give you a sneak preview of the series in a moment, but it will be from a different book. So quick housekeeping, as with last time, apart from test broadcasts, the virtual book fair is the only time I've used Twitter Live, so this is only my second time. So if there's anything wrong with my feed, if you can't hear, if you're having problems, please put a comment on the video or drop a tweet. I can't guarantee to see the tweet while I'm talking, but just try and get a message to me and I'll see what I can do. After the readings, I'd love to answer your questions, whether that's about the books, about writing, about indie publishing. Add your questions to the feed. I'll do my best to answer them for you. This time I'm aware that I can scroll back. Last time I was trying to hold all the questions in my head, so hopefully we'll do a bit better this time with getting the questions answered. So quick introduction to the Battleground series. As I explained in April, it's an award-winning 5-book series. I describe it as friendship-based YA. It's almost entirely romance-free because it's a dystopia. And I think my characters have enough to worry about without adding romance into the mix. They're trying to save themselves. They're trying to save their country from a corrupt government. They need good friends who'll look out for each other, keep each other safe. Making Trouble, the book I'm going to read from today, is a spoiler-free prequel to the series. And you can download a free copy of Making Trouble from my website. Here's a notice I made earlier at freebook.taulerbooks.com. If you do that, you'll be signing up to my mailing list. But don't worry, I won't spam you, I won't share your details, and I usually only send emails out every month or so. So I'm not going to fill your inbox. You can unsubscribe at any time, and you also get to keep your free book. So win-win. I'll talk a little bit about the free book and about why I do that after the reading. But it's probably time to dive in. I'm just going to give a couple more minutes for people to join in case they are trying to get in, because I'm aware I'm slightly ahead of my my timings here. And now I've lost my thread of what I'm talking about. But yes, it's probably time to get started on reading and on just a little bit about what the series is about. So the Battleground series is set in the UK after Brexit and after Scottish independence. The setting is intended to be a worst-case scenario, and it's a totalitarian dystopia. Making Trouble is set about 18 months before Battleground, which is book 1 of the main series. So 15-year-old Topher Mackenzie has a complicated life. His mum is in Australia, his dad is struggling to look after him, and Auntie Charlie is the only person who understands. When his girlfriend Nazreen is forced to leave the UK after a racist attack, Topher faces a choice. Accept the government's lies or find a way to fight back. In this extract, Topher begins to suspect that his aunt, who he spends some of his time with, and her friends have found a way to fight back against the government. The small group of activists is planning something, and Toph wants in. Making Trouble is only available as an ebook in various formats. If you go and download it, you'll have the choice of format to download it in, but this means I'll be reading it from my Kindle. And I'm just going to wake my Kindle up and make sure I'm on the right page. I sit in Charlie's kitchen, my homework in front of me on the table. I'm wearing my headphones, but the radio is switched off. Charlie's friends are here again, and I want to be able to hear what they're talking about. I'm working on a plan. If I can find out what Charlie and Trish and the others are doing, what they're so worried about, maybe I can figure out a way to do something for Nazreen. I know I can't bring her home, but maybe I can do something to show the racists how wrong they were. Maybe I can fight back. It's hard to pick out conversations from across the hall. I'm trying to write an English essay while I'm eavesdropping, but it's impossible to concentrate. I'm slumped back in my chair, throwing my headphones onto the table when the door opens. Okay, Toph? Charlie puts a hand on my shoulder as she walks past the table. English, I say, with a note of despair in my voice. Ah, Toph's nemesis, she says, smiling as she picks up a tray from the draining board. Shakespeare, says Trish, appearing at my shoulder and pointing at the open book on the table. Impressive! What are we writing about? I shrug. Love poems? Sonnets! Trish leans over and picks up the book. May I? I nod. She glances at the text and then turns to the door behind me. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Someone laughs in the hall, and Trish reads on, projecting her voice as if she's on a stage. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Kath steps up beside her, grinning, and plants a kiss on her lips. Her blonde hair almost silver next to Trish's pink spikes. I can't help blushing. Trish snaps the book shut and hands it back to me, a smug look on her face. And that, Toph, is the power of poetry. Making girls kiss you? She shrugs. Girls, boys, whatever you're into. And she kisses Kath again, laughing. Hey, Charlie calls you two. Toph's not as loved up as you are. Give him a break. Of course, Trish says, suddenly serious. The lovely Nazreen. Kath sighs. Plenty of fish in the sea. Toph, can't we find you someone new? I shake my head, staring at the table. I know she's joking, but this isn't funny. I wanted this. I wanted what Kath and Trish have, what Charlie and Rob have, and I wanted it with Nazreen. What's the point? I whisper, dropping the book onto the table. I know it hurts, Toph, but don't shut yourself away. Trish isn't smiling, and her voice is kind. Kath grins. You need to start kissing frogs if you're going to find another princess. I pull a face, playing along, but I'm desperate to change the subject. Kath laughs. Right. Charlie holds out a tray of drinks and a bottle of vodka. Kath, Trish, get this lot into the living room. She waits until the door closes behind them. Sorry, Toph, she says. I know they don't get it. I nod, thinking about what they said. Did you kiss a lot of frogs before you found Rob? For a moment there's a look on her face that I can't read, and then she blushes and laughs. Toph, you have no idea. And was it worth it? I can't believe how quiet my voice is. I can't believe I'm asking her this question. She looks at me for a moment and smiles. Yes, it was worth it. But I don't want to replace Nazreen. I want to take this anger and I want to do something for her. I want to show the people who hurt her that she matters, that I care about what they did. I can hear a murmur of voices from the living room, but I can't pick out what they're saying. I know I should put on my headphones and concentrate on my homework, but I can't focus. I'm too angry to write about love poetry. As quietly as I can, I push the chair back from the table and step across the kitchen to the door. I listen for a moment, but I can't hear anyone in the hall, just the conversation in the room beyond. I open the door and slip through, closing it slowly after me, holding my breath as the handle turns. Someone shouts in the living room and everyone laughs. I take a breath, waiting for someone to hear me, waiting for the door to open. No one comes. The voices die down and I can hear Rob asking everyone to listen. I can hear him clearly. I take 2 steps up the stairs, treading lightly. I sit down on the next step, leaning my head against the wall. My pulse races. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be spying on Charlie and Rob. But I think about Trish, telling me that they're doing their best. I want to know what she meant. I want to know what they do. I make myself sit still and listen. The target is a billboard, one of the government slogan posters. Photo of the Prime Minister, some rubbish about stability and security. Several people laugh and there's a rustling sound. It's a map. Someone's unfolding a map. Billboard is here, on the edge of an industrial park in Wembley. It has floodlights, but we'll cut the power while we're working. The new design will be visible from the road, from the North Circular, military and civilian lanes. It should send a very visible message. Ben will drive the van. He'll pick us up from this car park at 10. There's a tapping sound. Is he pointing out the car park on the map? This is frustrating. Hearing the plan but not seeing the target. I close my eyes and clench my fists, willing myself not to move, not to make a sound. I just need to listen. Get yourselves there. Usual rules. 1s and 2s, cars, bikes, public transport. Ben and I have checked the car park and the billboard and there's no CCTV, no cameras. Just be careful, and if you see police or soldiers, keep moving. Get yourselves away. We'll call off the mission if we have to. No point in running unnecessary risks. What's the plan? Spray paint or patches? Kath's voice. Patches for the outfit, spray for the rest. We want to make it obvious that we've defaced the billboard. The map rustles again. Ben will bring everything in the van. All you have to do is wear black, leave your ID at home and get to the car park for 10. Graffiti. They're planning graffiti on a government billboard. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this. This feels disappointing. They won't be hurting anyone. They won't be making the racists and the bullies sorry for what they've done. This doesn't feel like fighting back. It feels stupid. Scribbling on a picture to make people, what? Laugh? Make them angry? I don't understand. To Friday night, calls Trish, and there's the sound of glasses clinking. Friday night! I sit on the stairs, listening to the group, drinking their vodka and laughing. I feel numb. I can't believe I thought they were making a difference. I make myself stand up and tread carefully down the stairs to the kitchen. I sit down at the table, my head in my hands, and think about what this means. I'm disappointed. I'm angry. I wanted to do something big, something bold and unmissable. Something that will send a message to the people who chased Nasreen from her home. I imagine the billboard, graffiti covering the image, people on the road catching sight of the vandalism as they drive past. And I realise maybe that's exactly what this is. Big, bold, and unmissable. The government billboards are everywhere. Photos of the Prime Minister and the Home Forces, slogans about protecting us and making the UK safe and strong. But it wasn't safe for Nasreen. And it wasn't safe for the people on the news in their handcuffs and jumpsuits. Charlie said that the government did this, the government and the papers. And Rob said people will see what they're going to paint on the sign. I lift my head. My hands are trembling. Maybe this is fighting back. Maybe this is a way to show the government that they're wrong. I can feel a spark of excitement in my chest. Maybe a can of spray paint can be a weapon. Maybe a billboard can be a battleground. My pulse is a drumbeat in my ears as I realise that I have everything I need to follow Charlie, to follow the group and watch what they do. Friday night in Wembley. I can get there by bus, I can find the billboard, and I can watch them send their message. And maybe I can join in. Maybe I can help. Maybe I can send a message for Nazreen. So that was the extract, but of course Topher's idea doesn't go according to plan and his actions put everyone in danger. And you'll have to read the novella to find out what happens next. Making Trouble is a standalone story with no spoilers. It is a different cast of characters from the rest of the series, although there is a key character who carries through. Just a reminder that you can download the entire novel, the entire novella. I'm over-promising here. The entire novella free from freebook.taulerbooks.com. And I'll post a link on Twitter after this broadcast so you can just hop straight through. I'd love to take some questions. Add yours to the video feed. I'll do my best to keep track of them. But I thought I'd start by talking a bit about indie publishing and why I'm giving away a free book. So the Battleground series isn't published by one of the big publishers, so there's no big advertising budget for the books. Indie authors can't publish a book on Amazon and just hope the audience finds it. Amazon is a vast bookstore. No one is going to accidentally find a book that isn't promoted, reviewed, anticipated in advance. So how do I, as an indie author, tell you, the audience, about my books? I give you a taster. More importantly, I give you what I hope is a good taster. Something that will encourage you to come back for more and something you'll want to tell your friends about. So Making Trouble is my taster book. It's also a way to connect with you, the audience. When you give me your email address, you're also signing up to my mailing list. And that allows me to talk directly to you about my books, about my writing, and about any offers and discounts that I'm planning. And I try to get those out to my mailing list first. So big announcements, I try to make sure you get them exclusively. I also read and review other young adult books on my blog, and you'll find links to all those reviews in my newsletter. And all you have to do is hit reply, and you get to talk to me directly. So it's a way for us to connect with each other. And connecting like this is even more important during lockdown, when I can't meet my audience, you can't meet the authors that you want to talk to, and you can't discover new books, because all of those book fairs and events that we normally meet up at have been cancelled. So I'd love to interact with you, whether that's via the mailing list or here on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, I'm on Goodreads, and I'm on Wattpad. You'll find 3 more free short stories on Wattpad, nothing to do with the Battleground series, just more tasters of my writing. And all my YA reviews are cross-posted to Goodreads, so you should be able to track what I'm reading and see the kind of things that I enjoy there. But signing up for my newsletter is definitely the best way to keep in touch. So any questions from you guys out there? And I'll give you a minute because I know it takes a moment to type, particularly. Good question. Why did I choose to write a dystopian novella? I'm a really big fan of dystopian fiction. You can probably see some of it on the shelves behind me. I promise this is not a Zoom background. This is genuinely my library. I've been reading dystopian fiction for as long as I can remember. And I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people don't enjoy it because it feels pessimistic, but I think it's optimistic. Simply because you put your characters into a terrible, terrible situation, and then the positivity is about them surviving and their ability to handle whatever the situation is. And yes, they're going to make mistakes, and there's going to be danger, and there's going to be, everything on the line. But if those heroes and those heroines, those protagonists can come out having survived, having made the world a bit better, I find that inspiring. So that's what I wanted to do. I was horrified by the Brexit vote, and I was horrified by the decision to leave the EU. And so I allowed my mind to sort of follow that through and figure out what would be a worst case scenario. And so it was my way of kind of thinking, okay, if this goes horribly wrong, where are the positives? And I'm not sure I necessarily found positives about the scenario, but at least I had characters who could face what was coming, and found ways to fight back, and found ways to protest, and found ways to change the world. There was another, hold on, there was another question there. Do I recall the book or story that ignited my desire to write? No. No. I've been writing short stories for as long as I can remember, and I've been reading for as long as I can remember. I know there were books when I was small that were very inspiring and made me want to tell stories. The one that's popping into my head at the moment is Gobelino the Witch's Cat, which inspired definitely a Halloween costume, and definitely was one of those books that had a strong story, and that made me want to tell stories. But I think in terms of dystopia, I read 1984 and Brave New World at school, probably younger than most people would expect, and of course things like Animal Farm and so on. So those things sort of planted in my mind, and starting to see those worst case scenarios, and again how people fought back, was really, really inspiring. I think I've missed another. Do I think I write a novel about the current situation? That's so hard. I don't know. I think probably because I'm not sure where the current situation is going. I've actually come at the current situation through a more factual route, because I studied geography at university, and my favourite module that we covered was actually on disease distribution, and all about the R value and the equations that are used to model the spread of disease. So I'm almost tackling this through a factual conception rather than thinking about it through fiction. I'm also personally shielding, so I haven't left the house for 10 weeks, other than to step outside my front door to cheer the NHS on a Thursday evening, and to sit in my garden in the sun. So I don't know whether I'm qualified to write about this current situation, because for me it's more about being able to isolate and write more. So I'm not sure this is my story to tell, to be honest. We've got a couple more minutes left, so if there are any more questions, I can take a look at those. But I should probably start to wrap up. So thank you so much for listening. As with last time, the 30 minutes go so quickly, 25 minutes go so quickly. It's a bit of an adrenaline rush. If anyone is desperate to find out, what panic feels like, try this. And try keeping track of the stream. You'll find more information on the books in the Battleground series at tallrbooks.com. There's a link in my Twitter bio if you're on Twitter. There's also a link to the entire series on Amazon, so you can download the books. Quick note: the prices of the Kindle books are going up on Monday, so if you're planning to at some point download the Battleground series, now would be a good time. You get them at the bargain price rather than going up to market rate. Don't forget to download your free copy of Making Trouble. And again, we're going to use here's the thing I made earlier, free book at freebook.tallrbooks.com. The first 5 chapters, which are not what I've read you, or what I read you comes from about halfway through the book. The first 5 chapters are up on my website, so you can read them for free on the website. And then you can download the novella if you enjoy them, so you've got nothing to lose. Follow the link. Thank you again to Mary and Our Own Right for organising the virtual book fair. We're going to head back to the US for a reading from N.D. Parker in about 5 minutes. Join him for The Ghosts Between, which is a collection of horror short stories. So debut for horror in the virtual book fair. Keep any questions coming. Add them to my Twitter feed, and I'll try and take a look at the ones I've missed and see if I can catch up. otherwise, I think I've hit 4:25. I think I've filled my time. So to give you all a chance to head over to the next slot, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you very, very much for joining me. Thank you very much for supporting the Virtual Book Fair, and I hope you enjoyed this session.